Hey guys, welcome to this video. I'm Dennis Simsek, the Anxiety Guy. Today we're answering a very important question. That question is, what is health anxiety? Now, a lot of people out there are probably very confused, very bewildered as far as what health anxiety is, what they're going through, and how they start to overcome this feeling, this overwhelming feeling that they're getting. And debilitating anxiety is something that so many people struggle with, but not many people actually take the effort, take the time in order to start the recovery process. So I want to fill you guys in with a little bit of knowledge from the Anxiety Guy and to kind of give you a better understanding of what health anxiety is and what you can do in order to start moving in the right direction. Now, people with health anxiety, first of all, are very sensitive. They're very sensitive to light, they're sensitive to certain colors, they're sensitive to certain criticisms that other people give them, they're sensitive to some environments, they're sensitive to certain people. So very, very fearful. These people live in a world of fear. These people are very, very intelligent, very, very smart, and in fact, very, very brave and courageous. They had those years, right? And then all of a sudden, an experience happened, whether it was a panic attack or they saw something on Google or they read something in the news, and then they had a headache. And then basically they created this link or this association between the headache and what they read or the experience that they had and then what they searched on Dr. Google. Because a lot of times our unconscious mind takes in the most threatening advice that we get. So if we go on Google and we look up what a headache means, a lot of times, in the first couple of answers, it can come up as a brain tumor or something like that. And next thing you know, we start becoming bewildered. Like, do I have a brain tumor? We go get it checked, and people tell us how healthy we are. We never believe them. So health anxiety is an over worry over a person's health, basically. And it can be referred to as hypochondriasis, or they can be called hypochondriacs, okay? So health anxiety, hypochondriac, very, very similar. And a lot of times, people with health anxiety use their imagination to create the worst possible outcome there is, okay? Like if a symptom pops up, it turns into a brain tumor. If they have jelly legs, automatically they go into the worst. They're gonna think they're gonna be in a wheelchair or something. And whatever, tingly fingers, tingly hands, could mean a heart attack is about to happen. So these people live in fear and anxiousness every moment of their lives. And it's time that we started moving these people out of that state and into a brand new state, okay? And that's what the Anxiety Guy is really about. We stay in this lane of health anxiety and GAD and help people with this sort of problem, this sort of challenge. And we take a cognitive behavioral therapist approach to overcoming these challenges. Now, a lot of different negative automatic thoughts can come to the awareness of someone with health anxiety. One of those is catastrophic thinking, okay? So catastrophic thinking and health anxiety go hand in hand. It's like a marriage, okay? It's not a pretty one, it's not a happy one. It's something that health anxiety sufferers hope, wouldn't happen, but it happens. Now, catastrophic thinking is thinking the worst, thinking that I'm going to take this outcome, I'm going to go with a bunch of friends, and then I'm going to be on a dinner with them. But if I go to that dinner with them and someone tells me something, or I start to panic and freak out, all of a sudden I could have a heart attack there, or I could be in the emergency room, whatever it is. So catastrophic thinking is imagining the worst possible outcome in any given situation, okay? The other thing that the health anxiety sufferers tend to do is they mind read. So they think they're good at mind reading. And I can tell you from experience, we suck at it. We suck at mind reading. And a lot of times we're walking down the street and someone looks at us funny and we go, oh my God, like what am I wearing? Oh, I hope I was walking okay. I hope they don't judge me too harshly. I hope they don't see the sweating in my armpits, whatever it is. So this can be a problem. This mind reading thing can be a huge problem. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I said, you know what, screw the world. screw the world. I'm going to have talks with my family, my friends, everything like that. Let them know that I'm on a journey to recovery. Let them know what my health anxiety days were like. Give them a book to make them more educated on health anxiety. So it wasn't until I started to implement that kind of approach where I started to put my recovery on a timeline of 3 months before I actually started seeing quicker results than if I wanted to recover right away. But it is very debilitating, it is very painful, and I understand the need to want to move past this state, these emotions very quickly. Fortune telling is another one that health anxiety sufferers do. So again, they always predict the future. Okay, they think they're good at predicting the future, and they create these self-fulfilling prophecies. And a lot of times, these fortune telling habits that we have never really come true. Okay, and we need to look at least at the point from a health anxiety sufferer's point of view. We must accept the negative thoughts, we must accept the negative beliefs, but we must also have the awareness to accept the positive things that can happen. That really is a starting step for health anxiety sufferers. So not only giving respect to the negatives, maybe that could happen, yeah, maybe I could have a heart attack, maybe I will develop cancer, whatever it is, but you're also seeing the other side. Well, I'm taking care of my diet, I've got great relationships, my career is flourishing, I take care of myself in a lot of ways, I get a lot of sleep, and I've had these symptoms and sensations before. I've gone to the emergency room, and every doctor I've been to has told me I have anxiety. So we need to first make sure that we see both points of views, okay? The other thing that health anxiety sufferers do, this negative automatic thought, is they do what's called emotional reasoning, which means that they blame themselves for everything happening in other people's lives, or something went wrong. A lot of times a car accident happens and people go, whoa, man, maybe that was my fault, right? So this can be, such a cycle where even when you're at work and people are fighting, a lot of times you think that you are in fact the reason for that happening. Okay, so emotional reasoning, blaming yourself for what is happening in the world, or what's happening in your family or your friends or whatever it is, right? But the thing is when we go to doctors with health anxiety, as the patient has health anxiety, these doctors can become very dismissive of health anxiety sufferers' complaints. Now, when they become dismissive, we can really struggle, right? It can be a huge struggle to try to find answers, to try to find even other people that have gone through it. And with the anxiety guy, it's very, very unique, because here's someone who's been in your shoes for a number of years, and here's someone who has overcome those fears, those sensitized states. And here's someone who has done things such as Google their symptoms every day, go to numerous doctors, visit the emergency room numerous times, do tons of blood tests and all sorts of different tests. And it got to a point where I was, questioning whether I would ever move past this state that I was in, this chapter in my life. I was questioning it. I was like, is this how it's going to be? Am I going to avoid everything in my life from now on? Am I never going to get to start that business or travel the world or, be the father I truly want to be for my son who was a newborn during my health anxiety days? I mean, the deepest, hells health anxiety sufferers go through. And if you're a support person for one of these people, understand that the pain is real. And things such as, learn to relax. If you say things like this to them, it only makes things worse. If you say things like, hey, do some meditation, or hey, why don't you go in that yoga class? Remember the first thing we said. These people are sensitive to everything, okay? And anxiety success stories such as mine are basically these lights at the end of the tunnels. So a lot of people are saying, Dennis, thank you so much, helping thousands of people worldwide with GAD and health anxiety. I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. And a lot of people go, your program has helped me so much, being one-on-one and seeing your point of view, being able to relate is half the battle. So I urge you to find those types of people in your life, Now, the other thing with health anxiety is people examine themselves all the time. So when health anxiety happens and a symptom happens, all of a sudden a heart palpitation, right? Or a headache, or, my hands are tingly, whatever it is. People are constantly examining themselves all the time throughout the day. And this can be such a cycle. It can be that a certain time throughout the day means that you examine yourself more. Okay, for me, it was like the morning. When I woke up in the morning, I started to check in to see if my symptoms were there. I started to see if the one alcoholic drink or even the one sip I had the night before, triggered this anxiety within me. Would I have to go to the emergency room? So it was like this constant ruminating over, these thoughts and these belief patterns. And if you see someone constantly examining themselves, the best thing you can do is to break their pattern. Break their pattern in some way. And through the Facebook Live, if you guys know this story about me and Robin, my fiance back in the day, she was also very, very interested, wanted me to get better, wanted me to move past this chapter in my life, but she didn't know what to do. So one day, there I was driving, okay, and I started to feel these sensations. I started to examine myself, right? And then Robin, out of the blue, okay, boom, punched me in the shoulder, okay? And when she punched me in the shoulder, right away that broke the pattern, okay? It broke the pattern. I was like, oh, why'd you do that? This and that. All of a sudden, a few minutes later, I realized that I wasn't focused in on my symptoms anymore. I wasn't focused in on my fears or my doubts or whatever it is. I was like, whoa, that really worked, right? I'm not focused on it anymore. I was focused on other things. So that taught me really quickly that when you start to examine and when you start to do things that a health anxiety sufferer does, it's very, very important that you start to learn how to break the pattern. And I really like, I like the 3 steps I have put together. Of course, being a CBT practitioner, always learning, always educating yourself. And I've found that these 3 steps are very, very crucial for health anxiety sufferers. So always carry an elastic band on your wrist, okay? 24 hours a day. And when you start to find that you're examining or moving towards fearful thinking or behaving in a certain way that doesn't fit the true voice, and in fact you're moving towards your critical voice, snap the elastic band and prove to your unconscious mind that there's a different way to think, there's a different way to act, and start to create these new neural pathways in your brain. And after that snap, what you've done is you've caught the anxiety in its first couple waves. Instead of letting it get to wave 4 or 5, catastrophic thinking, panic attacks, very, very difficult to stop a full-blown panic attack. But we can stop the cycle in the beginning, and we can start to create and condition this new you, okay? This new powerful, empowered you. So snap the elastic band, okay, and then go to step number 2 and ride the wave. Remind yourself of how many times you've overcome this in the past. If you're in the grocery store, instead of continuing to examine yourself, the snap has in fact proven to you that you have caught it. And if you catch it, you can ride the wave. Just like a surfer who rides those beautiful waves, you will ride the wave of anxiety. The symptoms, the thoughts, the beliefs, the fears, everything, the doubts. And you're not going to fight it. You're not going to run from the grocery store. All you're going to do is ride that wave until the end. Just like every other anxious moment that you've had and overcome, you will do the same in this experience, okay? So riding the wave means staying where you are, being a part of the journey of anxiety in that moment, because that is powerful, leads to desensitization. Now the third one is let the storm pass. So once you're done, letting the storm pass means that if there's any built up adrenaline there, right, over the fears and the cycle that you went through, you can in fact go for a walk, okay? And while you're going for that walk, what you want to do is make sure that you're totally mindful of everything around you. What can you touch? What can you hear? What can you see? Maybe there's something that you can taste. What can you smell? The beautiful flowers. The more senses you get engaged, the more powerful this is for health anxiety sufferers. So snap, let the ride the wave, and then let the storm pass. These three steps are very, very, very powerful. The other thing that health anxiety sufferers do is they convince other people that they in fact have a physical ailment. And Robin, going back to Robin, my fiance, for a long time she was like, oh man, maybe he does have cancer. Maybe he does have AIDS. Maybe he does have a tumor, whatever it is, right? And I convinced her, I convinced my family, my friends, the ones that I actually had the guts to speak to about this, I convinced them that I was in fact ill, physically ill. And they were like on board. They're like, man, you should go and do this test and that test, and you should try to see this specialist, that specialist. Having a brain tumor and whatever, that's serious stuff, Dennis, this and that. It got to that point, and it was like, I needed to stop talking about it. I needed to realize that sometimes I create these identity statements, within myself and to other people, that create this identity of myself being anxiety. That's why at the end of every podcast episode, every program chapter, every video, I say, you are more than anxiety, because what you're doing is in fact a behavior. It's a thought. It's not who you are as a person. It's not your persona. It's not your true voice. It's just what your mind is trying to move towards, which is familiarity, okay? And when you start to run from panic, and when you start to run from anxious thinking and hide from it or take a pill or whatever it is, your mind only thinks that that's the best way to handle that situation because it has not experienced anything different. But let me explain to you this. Let's take soccer, for example. For 5 years, you kicked with your right foot, only your right foot. Then all of a sudden, you're starting to kick with your left foot after 5 years of training your right foot. What is your mind going to tell you? Obviously, the results are different in the beginning. You can't score as many goals as before. You can't kick as hard, right? You can't play at the level you were before. You must start this journey by kicking your left foot, kicking the ball with your left foot. So again, this is a reconditioning process. It won't take the 5 years it took with your right foot because you're more familiar of what kind of path leads to what direction, right? And therefore, you've gotten to a point where you can really understand that if I think a certain way, if I believe certain things, if I allow people to create new belief systems within me, I'm living through them and not my true voice, right? I'm living in their house, not in my house, their house, okay? And that can come from family members, that can come from your teachers, whatever it is. That can come from your environment growing up. It's really important to take notice of what the belief systems, where are they coming from? Where are they? Are they yours or someone else? Are these fears, from an experience that you've had, or are they coming from something that you've seen, or done in the past? So convincing people is something that health anxiety sufferers do, and something that they can let go of, right? And there's lots of different routines that people do that fuel more anxiety, such as television, okay? Best thing I did was I sold my TV. I said, I like playing video games sometimes, but this was back in the day, but I am not going to play anymore because it is stimulating me. My brain, my mind, my body is feeling the effects. Maybe not right away, but it is in the future. So I had to sell the TV. I had to change the music I listened to, okay? Certain lyrics were fueling my anxiety. Certain speeds, I had to slow things down. Then I had to change my friends, okay? I had to change the people I was hanging out with because you become the top 5 people you hang around with. So if those people have certain goals, they become yours. If they have certain belief system, they become yours. So you've got to audit your friends list. Then I started to mirror people. I mirrored people like Tony Robbins, who's an NLP, specialist. I mirrored people such as, Gary Vaynerchuk, someone who I look up to as far as not sugarcoating things. And the reason that the anxiety guy works because there is no sugarcoating. I'm not going to sit here and go, guys, everything's going to be okay. No. Okay? If you continue to do the same patterns, continue to contain the same processes in your mind, the same belief systems, the same actions, the same behaviors, you will get the same result, okay? But if you want that result to change, you must be willing to learn, you must be willing to change, you must be willing to live your life at an emotional level where you haven't before, you must be willing to step outside your comfort zone in small systematic steps, you must be willing. You must create this contract with yourself and say 3 months, I'm on a journey of self-discovery. It's a good journey. It really is, because I didn't pick this life. I didn't pick, 10 years ago, I'm going to start the Anxiety Guy and I'm going to help so many thousands of people worldwide, through the podcast program. I didn't pick that. No chance. I would have laughed if you told me that. Okay, so the journey, in fact, creates these people that we become. Anxiety could be the greatest thing in your life. Maybe you don't realize it right now, but when you've overcome it, when you start to develop this rapport with yourself, your subconscious mind, then you will find that you are moving towards a person you never thought you were. You're helping people, you're creating a business around it. I mean, who knows, right? So anxiety could be the greatest tool for you if you use it properly, okay? And if you start taking these steps and become willing to sign that contract, okay, and go, things need to change. Patience is absolutely crucial when trying to help someone through health anxiety. Now, a lot of support teams out there don't have the patience. They don't have the willpower to read an entire book in order to give that sufferer better feedback. But that is what it takes. That is what it takes. The best thing I ever did, like I mentioned, was to give Robin, my fiance, a book on health anxiety. If you want some feedback as far as what those books might be, hit me up on anxietyexit.com and I will respond to those. As well, guys, if you have any questions or comments on the YouTube comment section down here, I get to almost every single one, as you can see. So patience is really important if you're the supporter of someone with health anxiety. It's very important to be patient, okay? Because they're on a journey and you're on a journey to as well mold yourself and to see where they're coming from, okay? The other thing is that these people are incredibly intelligent. A lot of times with anxiety, people go, man, I'm so stupid. I've lost all my memory. I see the world as a foggy place. I can't even keep track of my daily to-do list anymore. Honestly, it's a behavior. It's a chapter in your life and it's not who you are. You are more than anxiety. So understand that, and I work with tons of people on a daily basis. And these people are incredibly intelligent. As soon as you break through those walls that are keeping them from living an unfulfilled life, as soon as you get down to the root of the problem, as soon as you help people to see things in a different way, you realize how intelligent, how powerful, how incredible these people are. These people are healers. I say it all the time. I say, if you want to be an incredible healer or a thought leader in today's world, you must have suffered. You must have gone through the depths, the deepest hells that life can throw at you in order to be able to relate and to help other people the best you can. These people are leaders, okay? So if you're out there and thinking, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that, you are not. And you are not, because on a daily basis, I see miracles happen every single day. Okay, and you're just, one step away from getting there. You truly are. Okay, and a lot of people think that because they have this huge problem that has lasted weeks, months, years, it must take a huge solution in order to overcome that. It's conditioning, it's programming. All we are as human beings are people that are programmed and moving through the world and perceiving things in different ways than other people. That's all it is. Okay, so people are very intelligent, but the waves of health anxiety, they come hard and they come rapidly, right? The sooner we can stop that wave, the sooner we can stop this cycle that we're constantly running. And the waves for health anxiety usually go like this. It starts with curiosity, okay? I have a sensation, a feeling right? I start to touch, feel, examine. Curious. What is this? What could it be? Could it be what I read before? Could it be what my friend's going through? Could it be what my mom went through? Curiosity. The next wave is what if? What if that happens to me? What if this time it's different? What if I can't move through this time in my life, this anxious moment? What if these symptoms are in fact something serious? Okay? And so in the what if wave, it's basically, that's basically when you start to feel like it's gotten too far, right? You need to catch it sooner. And this is a very common three-wave process that a lot of health anxiety sufferers go through. So they become curious, they go into what ifs, then they go to coping methods. The coping methods could be, I'm going to go to my room and shut the blinds and put the blanket all over me, and therefore I am in my comfort zone. Or, I'm going to call up that friend and hopefully they give me the same advice from before and I'll be able to calm down. How many times have you called your friend? Too many times. How many times have you gone under your sheets in the bed? Too many times. Medications, forums and chats, Facebook, this, that. Has anybody experienced this before? Has anybody taken this pill before? You're talking to people that are going through the same thing that you are. Of course they have. Of course they have. They're going through the same thing. Can they help you? No. Can they temporarily, put you in a state where, you're feeling comfortable and such and give you that reassurance that you're not going to die? Yes. Is it going to help you move through this chapter in your life? No. Okay? And we need to first recognize that and go, you know what? Here are the habits that I'm doing that are not feeding my recovery. Okay, guys? So that, in a nutshell, is what health anxiety is. Okay? That is hypochondriac. That is what a hypochondriac is. And that leads to a lot of OCD, leads to GAD, leads to depression. So they're very much connected in a lot of ways. Okay? If you guys are looking for a health anxiety solution, head over to anxietyexit.com under my program, CBT based for you, excellent results. If you have any questions, hit me up below in the comments section of this video, guys, as well. There are many videos for you. Love for you to subscribe, love for you to share this video with others, and especially the forums and the support teams out there. Let's build a community of people that are not victims, but are in fact warriors. Not people that avoid their problems, but people that confront their problems. And we can do it because we have all the resources within us to create that change. All right, guys? Love you. You are more than anxiety. I'll see you guys in the next video.